Next, let's speak about the parallel fence mechanism. Last time I hadn't assembled it fully. At the moment I have almost done it, but still even here there are some mistakes that I need to readjust them. This side of the cast iron table is not mechanically and accurately milled, as I told you, but to get an accurate and parallel cuts with this parallel fence, this bar needs to be perfectly under 90-degree angle related to the saw blade, which means that if you can see in here, there are milled surfaces inside of this end part of this cast iron table, and those milled base points already are calibrated coordinates, which means that if the bar is correctly in contact with those two milled surfaces, then it should be already under 90-degree angle related to the saw blade. And even the manual says that user should not by any means readjust those two nuts which are contra to one another because they are already factory set, which should guarantee that this bar is perfectly set related to this cast iron table. But as you can already assume, there were problems, and there were big problems. I don't know if this bar belonged to the different machine previously, or if yeah, okay, it's quite hard to think about anything anymore regarding this machine. Anyways, the fault was so big that I have a separate picture of that. I tried to show you it in here later on as well, but basically there was a 3 millimeter difference in the parallel fence, so it was so angled that when the first corner of the parallel fence was in perfect contact with this corner, then on the other hand, where this parallel fence is ending, there was already 3 millimeter gap. So I had to readjust those bolts as well. They are glued in after the so-called factory setting, so I had to break it apart once again to make the adjustments that were needed. But I still don't get a good something is wrong with the camera. But I still don't get a very good parallel cut with the machine. But this is already a matter of this cast block and aluminum extrusion contact. This is not very well engineered, let's say, but more of that later on. What was interesting is that thing here. There is a threaded hole in this bar, and there was a special bolt in here which should stop this parallel fence when it reaches here. But I don't see the point of it, because therefore I can't move closer to the blade, and so I had to remove it. I don't know what the idea is, that we shouldn't cut any items that are shorter than 10 centimeters, or what is the idea behind that. So I removed that one. This black item isn't part of the original assembly as well. I purchased it separately. This is from company SCM, and it is a great thing. I do recommend this item, but I won't speak about it in here. If you're interested, Google it up. Okay, what else? It's a little bit crowded with the items under the table, but okay. Let me set the camera a little bit. Okay. One more thing that I don't like about this guide rod is that the locations of those, if you can see those threaded bolts which connect the rod to the table, are not in the best locations, in my opinion. These are anyways not evenly spaced, so there were some alternative locations where they could have put those, but why I don't like them in those locations where they are is that if I'd like to hide all the mechanism under the table just after the machine frame ends up, in theory I could tilt it and put it under the table, but as you can see, the bolt is preventing me to do so. So there are actually very few locations where it would be possible to hide it under the table.